So, good afternoon. Welcome to the Next to Me Focus Group. We meet here every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm Chuck Vosberg, your friend in Florida. Pat is out on a walkthrough at a house, so got just me today. So, if you log off right now, I understand. But, but welcome back. You know, Being able to show your value as a buyer's agent has never been more important, and it's fixing to get even more important pretty soon. So today we're going to have a conversation amongst each other about how to really show our value and share some ideas on how to add value as a listing agent or as a buyer's agent. I always get those mixed up. But you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about buyers today. So I'll kind of lead it off. And I think that, in my opinion, our buyer presentation or consultation or whatever you want to call it has to be every bit as tight as our listing presentation. And over the years, Pat and I have really refined ours because it's just kind of how we work. We like to have a structure to everything. And it starts from the very beginning. We try to make people understand that we have a plan. And I think that's really what people want. They want to have a person with a plan that's going to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And not just a house, but taking it beyond that to what it is that they want to have happen when they get to their new home. And we start that with the very first text on ours. We text them what the agenda is going to be for the meeting, and it's really just a couple of things. It's what they want to do, a little bit about us, their four choices at the end of the meeting, and then what we're going to do to help them get there. And that kind of sets the tone that you got an agenda, you got a plan. And I'd like to ask, is there anybody here that does anything specific to kind of set the tone for that meeting when you're getting in there? Just like we want to do for a listing presentation, we want to try to do the same thing for buyers. Anybody have any ideas on that?
Hi, Chuck. I'll happy to jump right in.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. I do the same thing I do with my listing presentations. I make sure that they have the relationship form, brokerage relationship form. I want them to go ahead and review that prior to any meeting so that they'll understand that if I don't get that presentation or as far as the listing, or I don't get the buyer, that they're not giving me privileged information that could be used against them in a future date, whether it's a buyer and they come to one of my listings, or a listing and I have a buyer for that. I think that's the number one thing, to make sure they understand the difference between a client, a customer, and to explain dual agency. If you do it, I do a lot of dual agency here in Maine, so you have to be very, very clear, and they have to realize that they can say no to that. I think that's the number one thing to do. And then again, my listings and my buyer presentation is pretty much the same thing. I really brag on Next Home and how well we are doing and what we have available to us for avenues of finding properties, of different trainings and different hints and tips all the way through. So that usually gets me my buyer broker signed at that time.
I think that's really interesting, Lisa, because, you're a very established agent and you still are really leaning heavy on the next home advantage. Of course, we always instruct new people to really rely on that because frequently when you're new, you don't have a track record yet. But I thought it was really interesting to hear that even someone as seasoned as you still uses that because it has so much value. So that's very interesting. So what about y'all now, Steve? I know
Yeah,
you've got a lot of experience with this. Um,
I,
I'd be
I
interested in hearing your 2 cents.
basically what I do is, the first thing I do is I'll Facebook stalk them. Like get online, like I'll go in and find out anything I can find out about them, and then when I actually meet with them, I'll like drop that in there. Like if they were in the military, I'll drop in that I'm a veteran and kind of get that rapport going. And I also I'll send them videos, off of YouTube for different areas, that they're looking in. I could send them like certain areas. I can send them a bunch of them, and if not, I'll do it for the next time. I mean, most of the areas that I cover, I have done videos on, so it actually gets people to know you before you actually get in front of them.
It's true, Steve. And I know you've built up a big library of videos over time. And I know that's one thing you really preach is to take the time to build up a library like that. So you've got a lot of content that you can just shoot over to people, shoot them. I assume you're doing YouTube links.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really
Yep.
awesome.
I mean, and the difference is that I talk about, I just go in and talk about the area, talk about what you can buy in the area, show them around so that, they can see what's there before they even get there. So it kind of, and when I get leads via YouTube, I mean, it's pretty much a done deal,
Yeah, I think at that point it's probably yours to lose, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else in here using videos to help support you getting started off with a client? Make sure you unmute if you got something to say. Oh, it's a quiet group today, Steve.
I use video a lot.
Oh, good.
Especially when walking through the paperwork and things of that nature, because it gives us that extra layer of uh, covering our assets, of being able to record that just like you're recording this. I can now then go back and send it to them, and then I have that little extra protection.
That's really good. So, let's see. I think my friend from Orlando might have got cut off here, but if you're still on here, I'd like to hear about you because I know here in Florida we deal with a lot of out of town people. And what about you, Judy? You guys deal with a lot of out of town folks. How do you get started off with a buyer who's out of town that you're not seeing face to face?
Well, we our biggest market is Raleigh and Charlotte, so they're North Carolina buyers to start with, and Florida is right on around third or fourth, kind of stays up there. I'm a big communicator online versus video. I'm not comfortable with video yet, though I've done a couple for houses, of course, and walk through, and they've turned out really well and got a lot of attention. I have a mission to do more video, just not there yet. But what I do basically is give them the history of us. And a lot of our clients come from the golf course from Alan. So he knows them or knows somebody in their family for, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So it's not as, we don't draw from the whole United States much, from strangers. We kind of have a different kind of in with each kind of buyer. Raleigh, Charlotte, I know those areas very well. And we know Boone like nobody else knows Boone. Alan can take you the same place on 9 different roads. So, that I think is our strong point, that we know the areas that we need to take you to that are going to make you happy. And I do a lot of that in personal texts and online more than the videos, but I need to start more videos.
Well, I think we all do. It's regardless of how many videos you're doing, the answer is, how many should I do? More.
Yeah,
I think everybody would agree with that. And they do perform, but of course they're not for everybody. I know a lot of folks prefer not to do them. Is there anybody in here that doesn't like to do videos, that uses a different method for establishing themselves? Steve, did you have something?
I kind of do a hybrid.
You do? I
do a hybrid with mine. I started out, I'm old school, I'm 61, and videos were just for the 5 that were in our school. So yeah. So I'm a little bit more old school, but I have found with the out of state clients that I get, doctors that are transferring. We're a big healthcare state here in Maine, and pretty much anybody. I have found that the best way to meet them is through the video. And I usually use either Zoom or I use FaceTime. I don't use a lot of Facebook Messenger. I have in the past, if that's if they're on Android. But that seems to be really good. When they get that connection, they can see you. They can hear your inflection of your voice. They can hear your excitement. They can hear that you are humans over houses. That's really important to them because they are scared. They don't know. They've never been here, or they visited when they were a child and want to come back and live their life in Maine. So I have found over the past couple years that part of it, maybe not a pre-done video for me, but that live connection is really important. And then when I meet them at houses by video, I am so excited when I meet them in person because it's like we've been friends forever. So I think that's become a huge tool in my business for out-of-state people moving in, anyone transferring.
Lisa, do you also use a video email like BombBomb or one of those kind of services?
I have not yet, but I've really been tossing it around this year. So I believe I'm going to give it a shot because I'm getting more comfortable now with talking to people live. That what's the difference? I know everyone's worried about what they look like. Listen, I did a video the other day that I was pulling my hair saying, well, it's a little funky today, but and that's what's fun about it is that you can't be perfect all the time. And I do have funky hair. You guys know me, changes all the time. And yeah, you are you. No one else is going to judge you except for you. So stop it. And everyone, we're seeing each other now. They're seeing us the same way. You can't change that. And we're not that bad, guys.
No, they're going to see us sooner or later.
Can I piggyback on top of that, Lisa?
Yeah.
I've done a lot of videos, and Keith Robinson said it best. It's your face. It's there all the time. Just be you. I've ridden the Harley out to do showings before and done a video with helmet hair. It makes you look human and relatable. And so, like I said, Keith said it best. It's your face. You live with it every day. You got nothing to be ashamed of. Just freaking go for it.
I think that's perfect because I think we think everyone else wants us to be perfect and we are just like them. And I think by being just like them, that's where your relations come in. That's relatable, that they don't have to be perfect. And I know it's probably not politically correct, but I cannot tell you how many times I'll be on a video and go, okay, that was a blonde moment. You just got to witness it because that is what happens. I have done a video and gone down a flight of stairs, not to get hurt, and my camera was still in my hand and they're like, oh my gosh, you okay? I said, yep, phone's good. Did you see the ceiling? Because I got a good shot of it. So you have to make fun of yourself. And if you're perfect, then they're going to expect perfection and none of us are. And that's, I think, why we're so successful.
And when I do my videos of walkthroughs or the house or listing videos or presentations, I never edit ever. It is what it is. If I stammer, stutter, swear, it is what it is. This is who I am. And I'm not editing anything. I'm not jazzing anything up. What you see is what you get. And I think it gets appreciated.
Agreed.
I think you're right, Corey. And, it really helps people to connect, I believe. I don't remember who it was, but one speaker that I really admire mentioned in a lecture that he will deliberately kind of mess up because he was a very polished speaker, very experienced. He could obviously do a very polished job, but he would deliberately mess up just to make it more relatable and make it less like it's some kind of canned presentation and just to be real. And also, I want to mention too, Steve just put a link on the chat. Make sure you use the chat in here. We want to get as much interaction as possible. Steve posted a link to a video that he's already got 400 views since Saturday on, and that's phenomenal, Steve. And I know this is kind of off topic, but when it comes to video, don't worry about how many views you're getting or how many subscribers compared to whoever it is that you admire. I'd rather have 10 people that actually are interested than 1,000 people who are just casual observers. You agree with that, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's um a lot of people, and I got caught up in it too. It's like, oh man, I'm not getting any views, but I'm getting phone calls. People are calling me. I don't, I had a SEO expert yesterday going over my YouTube videos, and he's like, well, this one's only got 30 views in a week, and I'm like, yeah, but I got calls off of it. I don't care. If I'm getting people to call me and I get one view for every, that's fine. you know but I don't think I put that. I think I just sent
Oh,
that.
put it to everybody, Steve. I just noticed that you sent it to
Yeah.
me directly. So put it to everybody if you don't mind. But you're right. It's all about conversions, not views and not subscribers. It's about selling houses. So getting back to our
Well,
our
there's
buyer.
a guy real quick. There's
Yes,
a
sir.
guy. He used to be a Next Homie, and he started a company called Channel Junkies, and he wrote a book. I mean, I'll tell you the name of the book, but I mean it goes into what you should be talking about on video. The listing videos, the little, like, for as a general rule, or these little shorts on TikTok, like people are researching your area. So, like in North Carolina, Judy, you have that specific area, that area very well. Just drive around, camera in front of you, show the area, show what's going on, and just keep putting that out. When people go to research that area, they go to
Yeah.
YouTube.
I'm
And
actually starting that, driving around and showing certain areas. Like I went to a brewery,
yeah,
and showing things that people are unique to Boone because of the scenery mostly, and the atmosphere and the people who are just great.
but
I've just started that.
incorporate, like I don't, I do put like little, like that we have a surf shop in town. I'll put that in there, but the main part of the video is about real estate in that area, because if you start, putting up restaurant, because I know people that just do like restaurant reviews. You're not a restaurant reviewer, you're a real estate agent. That's what you want people to call you for, right? So you have to focus on, like a good rule of thumb. What I started off doing a lot of was, basically showing 3 different homes at 3 different price points, talking about that, pros and cons of the area, because that's what they're looking for. If you start, I've deviated from it, and I know other agents that, they'll put up a video and they've got like 20,000 views on the video. And I'm like, they're spending money to get those views, but what are they actually getting off of those views?
So what are you specifically doing on, like, that video you mentioned the other day where you got calls on just 30 views or something?
Well, there's a retirement community in my area it's an all cash community, and it's a co-op. So buying in the co-op is a lot different than buying, your traditional purchase in California. So I basically went in there, because you have to have a pass to get in. I went in, walked around with a camera, showing people what's inside of there, what the community looks like, talked about the prices of the homes, talked about, what you needed to qualify to get in there, because people don't know. And I've probably, and I've only been in this area about 2 years, probably sold about 6 homes in there, 6
Right.
units. But when people call me, they're like, oh my God, I'm the expert, and I know there's agents that pretty much work in there all the time, but I guarantee you within the next year, I'll dominate them, because when you type in moving to Seal Beach in YouTube, just go to YouTube right now and type in moving to Seal Beach. You'll see my videos are like the top out of 10 videos, I'll have the top 7,
Wow.
because I'd like double down on it. I'm doing one. I'm going to do one today on Seal Beach. So and these videos are attracting buyers. But I got one off of that same video that she had an agent. The agent wasn't working for her, wasn't doing anything for her. She wants to sell her house, which is, you know, about 30 minutes away from here, and move there, you know, because you have to have cash. So
Wow.
now I'm working on her too, you know.
Good way to attract buyers.
Yeah.
So when we get started off with the buyers, I'm a big fan of spending most of the time just listening to them in the beginning and gathering information, you know, finding out what they really want and what they're afraid of, and maybe any past negative experiences they may have had with other agents, and just gathering as much information so that when it's our turn to talk, we can address the things that are interesting to them. So, what kind of things are y'all looking for in that initial part of the presentation? What information are you gathering?
Number one for me is their timeline. You
Yeah,
know, we're talking about where they want to live if they're new to the area, and they're not sure. Is there a workplace that you're coming to, or you are moving within the state that you need to be within a certain amount of time or miles from, so I can do a radius search for them? Is there? I love doing. What are your wants? What are your needs? And most importantly, what are your deal breakers? And they'll say, what do you mean a deal breaker? If I showed you a house that had this one particular thing, you would say, absolutely not. Don't even waste my time. Those would be your deal breakers. I think that really gives us a lot of information, having those things plus their timeline. So you'll know if they need it immediately, as well as, do you need to sell a house to purchase a house? That's another big one, because that's a contingency.
Yeah, that's good, Lisa. That reminded me of like when I was a Navy recruiter, and we did a IBM sales school in recruiting, and it was want, need, DBM, dominant buying motive. What do you want? What do you need to get that want? And then and once you get that want, how's that going to make you feel, right? So yeah.
You can keep using that. That's pretty much the same thing. I love that.
Yep. Want, need,
Yeah.
DBM.
You got it.
that is so
And then you
good.
can use it against them when they you know, tell you they change their mind. You can, well, what didn't you say you wanted this? You needed this to
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah. Don't be a window
Mhm.
shopper. I'm giving you everything you want. Now you got to choose. Yeah.
Yeah, keep right on track. You know, Lisa, I think that your method about the deal breakers, that probably saves you a ton of time and driving around. And, you know, because when you're buyer's agent, I I'm of the opinion, and Pat would disagree with me on this, but I'm of the opinion that being a buyer's agent is more difficult than being a selling agent.
Absolutely.
And it can be very, very time consuming. And Pat and I are kind of lucky. We didn't have any master plan for this, but Pat loves being a buyer agent, and I love being a seller agent. And we could each like take or leave the other. So it worked out perfectly for us. So for the most part, you know, unless they kind of gravitate towards me for some reason, Pat's going to be serving them if they're a buyer. And it worked out really nicely like that. And that's one of the advantages of, you know, being a partnership. And I know some of you have a partnership. I know Judy, you and your husband are a husband and wife team, and some of you others have partners that you work with. Now, as we're going through gathering all this information and getting it all together, then it comes around time where it's our time to share. I'm not a big fan of spending a whole bunch of time saying how great we are. That's, I believe that's kind of assumed, and they can kind of feel that with the just the way you walk in the room. If you walk in the place like you own it, the way Lisa does, then they're going to feel your competence, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. So when it's your time to talk, what are you focusing on? Lisa, you look like you have something to say.
Oh yeah. You know, it's so funny because every single person is different. I tell new agents that come into the office, you have to be a chameleon. because everyone's going to have a different way that they take in information. And I kind of balance that with people, because some of them are super simple. Some of them have no idea what you're doing and need all that information. So you will need to talk a lot about what you are going to provide for them. They are interviewing people that have teams, and how come I can do this as a single individual and be as good as a team. And the majority of the time, I will go ahead and win out, because of this is my full-time business, and I treat it as such. So that's nice. But we do walk into it. I want to know, are they going to be looking every single day at houses? Are they going to be all over the map, not sure where they're going to go? Because I am an advocate for a client doing a drive-by before they call me. Because I cannot tell you how many times someone will come to me and say, I don't want to live by a trailer. Well, I'm sorry. Maine is not a hugely rich state, and we do have pockets of mobile homes all over the place. Some of them are absolutely gorgeous. Some of them have all kinds of stuff in their front yard. And that's really important for them to see for themselves, so that I am not wasting a seller's time by making them leave their house to go show something for when they walk in or they come up the road and say, oh, no, we're not even going to go through that door. So I practice that a lot, and you can really feel those types of clients. And some of them are really trying, but they just can't find the right one. I sympathize with some of my military people. I had a young lady that I worked 4 years with prior to COVID to now. This year, we finally found her a place. She was deployed 3 times during that period. Every single time I had her refresh her pre-approval so that we were ready to go. And we ended up finding a place with her, and it was an hour and a half away from where I am. But I didn't care, because I knew she needed to find a place. So sometimes you just need to be super patient with those people. And then others you just need to fire, because they aren't really in the realm for buying, whether they have a pre-qual or a pre-approval or not. Some people just are looking, and you just need to be able to distinguish between the two of which is serious and what isn't. Otherwise, you're going to go absolutely nuts and be on the road all day long.
Very good point, Lisa, because you got to balance humans over houses, and humans over houses is for everybody, including us. Yeah. So just for fun, type in the chat, what's the most number of houses that you've shown somebody before they finally bought something? I'll start. Pat, and my record is 75. 94 for Judy. Holy crap. That's amazing.
That was Alan before I went into the business. And he transferred here with a big factory, and he would come during the week, and the wife would come on weekends, and neither one of them could ever decide on the same house. And it was about 3 years before they bought one. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it takes what it takes, right?
Yeah.
And there's no set rule. We don't have any set rules. Like Lisa was saying, some of them you just have to fire, but it's a case by case. And also, frankly, it depends on how busy we are sometimes too. I mean, that's just the way it is. Sometimes
referrals are great. Always keep that in mind. We have next homies all over the country. And with even in your office, I've got a referral from another company in Maine. It's not just Next Homies. They know my reputation, and they said, I know you're busy, and I have someone that needs a lot of hand holding, and I'll explain everything to you. And by the time they were done, I was like, absolutely not. I cannot be that agent they're looking for. So I found an agent in-house here, and she was thrilled. She had them under contract within, I think it was 3 weeks, and is already closed. And that was for them. It was a newer agent. I didn't do a referral fee, because she was going to be paying a referral fee to the other agent anyway. So it was just pay it forward, help this person. And when I'm at conference, this person steps in for me. So I thought it was a win-win, but you don't always have to have them.
I am so glad you brought that up, Lisa, because I know your percentage is very high. Our percentage last year, 49% of our closings came from other agents, and that's pretty substantial. So it's worth building up a network of people, and we've got 21 people right here that you can network with. And that's one thing. If you're not on the Next Homey Focus Group Facebook group, get on there and start interacting. Interact on the Facebook page for Next Home. That's where the other Next Homies are. And you'll find it's where the other Next Homies who are actually doing some business are. And that's been our experience. And if you want to learn more about how to develop a whole network of other agents, get with me or Pat, because Pat came up with the concept. It was her idea in the beginning. And over the years, like I say, 49% of our business last year came directly from other agents. And we send out a ton of referrals too. So it's a really good way to supplement your income, regardless of where you live. I know a lot of times people say, oh, well, yeah, you live where everybody wants to live. Like, that's true to some extent, but I don't care where you live. There are people coming and going all the time. So keep that in mind. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Lisa. Oh, someone else?
I will contact you. This is Tony. How are you?
Hi, it's good to see
you.
you.
Oh.
Do you have my contact information?
I do need it just because I want to ask you about that. Of course, everybody comes in and out of Alaska, and we have a main place where we have constant people that are coming and going. And I always find it hard to be like, hey, let me find you somebody, because I feel like I'm going, hey, let me find you somebody. But let you also know that I get money from that, right? So I always really hesitate on how to even explain that. But I can call you about that later, because I know this is
just give us a call. I put my contact information in the chat, and I'll just call me and I can hook you up with Pat if you prefer to talk with her, because that's one thing we're all about here at Next Home, is helping each other out. And it's nice to, like, everybody that's in this room, I think I know all of you personally, and it's good to, if somebody's moving to Maine, like, oh, well, my friend can help you out. This isn't just, picking somebody out of a list. It's my friend. And it really goes a long way, because, whether or not you're getting paid for it is irrelevant. It's all about serving the client. And we hook up a lot of people. Anyway, see, people say, hey, do you know somebody, here or there? And usually we do, because over the years, we've gotten to know a lot of other Next Homies. So sometimes you're just hooking up, you don't get paid for it, but you do build a lot of goodwill by doing that. That's for sure. And I know, Lisa, you do that a lot.
And there's also, Tony, on the intranet, Next Home's intranet, there's an office finder map that has all of the offices nationwide, who the brokers are, who to contact. I have not been shy about just jumping on there and just make a phone call just to help somebody out. And it's set up super nice on the intranet, and you make a new friend also.
I would suggest, piggybacking off that, is if you're going to use that, because I use that a lot, especially in areas I don't know. And please don't leave a message at the office.
No,
Scroll
they'll never
down.
Get it in a million years.
They never respond, and you've got to be fast on these before they find another agent, because you haven't done what you said you were going to do. So just scroll down on that and you can go directly to the DB, the designated broker, or the broker of record, or you can pick somebody underneath that is actually working as an agent that can help you maybe a little bit quicker, depending on what the broker record is doing, because they are busy. And sometimes the broker record isn't selling or buying homes. They will just pass someone to you, but it's a nice way to get that connection if you call directly.
Yeah.
Lisa, I do that all the time. And I would love to mention right here, if you have not lately, go on your own and make sure you have the right phone number, the right email address, because so many times it's not even in there. And
Yep.
I'm like a dog with a bone. I'll hunt them down, but a lot of people aren't going to do that. And I shouldn't have to, really. I mean,
No, no. Well, it's like having your answering machine set up on your phone. How many times have you called an agent and gotten this phone has not been set up, so you can't even leave a message? I do not do it again. I'm a one and done. If you
Nope.
haven't done it, then I'm working, because my client that I'm going to refer to them is going to get the same exact message. And that is not professional to me. And I see it in my office, and I see it I think in everybody's office, you'll have one or two. And as soon as I figure out who it is, I'm having a chat with that person, because legally you're supposed to have it there anyway.
You're absolutely right, Lisa. And oh, I'm preach it, sister. I'm hardcore about that because,
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion, and I know this sounds harsh, but if you can't manage to have voicemail on your phone, you're not going to be very good at selling a house either. I mean, that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And, I know it's harsh, but it's just the way it is. And when you refer somebody, actually talk to them on the phone, because if they drop the ball, it refers badly on you, and it also hurts your income because you're not going to get a referral fee for somebody that didn't follow up. So keep that in mind. I know we're kind of
And
drifting
on
off
to
a little.
piggyback.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, to piggyback on that, Chuck, what you just said about that is, yes, it reflects on you. And it might not. How many times has a real estate transaction turned into other real estate transactions? So that person can change your future, whether you have referred them and not gotten a referral or not, because they may want to come home.
That's
They
so
may
true,
want to
Lisa.
buy another place. They may want to refer you to a friend. But if we have another agent has the ability to stop your business on a dime if you allow it to happen. And you had someone check in to say, well, she was a little uncomfortable with the referral and telling them that. I love it, because I'll say, you know what, my friend, I do the same thing. I have friends all over the country, and they will treat you the same exact way I will. And if you'd like, we will keep in contact with each other, the agent and I, and we will know. And if they need help, I'm right here. If I need a little help, I'll be able to help them. But we work this together, so we'll still be kind of a team, even though it's long distance. And that gives them a little bit of security. So I think that's why I don't worry about saying that there's a referral. And, if they ask, I don't know, I can't remember how many times. I don't think it usually comes up if I'm paid or not, but I let them know that I'll be compensated in some way.
Yeah, of course. You have to
It
be
actually
honest
makes me,
about it.
oh, I'm sorry. And actually
Go
makes me feel more comfortable. And granted, like, and many conferences that I've been to, obviously, all of you guys are amazing and would be very comfortable in saying that. But that makes a big difference saying, yes, I'll be here. I'll help. You can, call me, confide in me, or whatever. If you have questions and maybe you're too shy because you don't know this person as well as or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's a good idea. That would make me feel more comfortable versus, hey, let me find you somebody, and guess what? I get paid. So
Yeah, that sounds pretty lame.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get it. I've had 6 people move, friends, really close friends of mine, move to Florida, and they've all bought homes, and I just didn't want to. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt uncomfortable saying.
Well,
It gives
if you
you a
don't,
level of accountability, because another thing that I'll say is, hey, I know people all over the country, and I'm going to set you up with someone that is like me, but please let me know if you don't jive, if there's not a connection with you. I have somebody else that I work with all the time that would be great, because not everyone's a great fit. And just let them know that if they don't like them, they don't have to fire them. I can do that for them.
yeah, that's something to keep in mind too, is that, and pardon the plug, but we've got a saying says, don't look at the map, call Chuck and Pat. Because, here in Florida, people don't know the geography. They don't know. We can tell them what city we live in. They may or may not know where we are. So, but we all know each other here in Florida. So, like Lisa said, like, call us. If they're on the other side of the state and we don't serve that area, we know who does, and we'll give you their phone number, and you guys can hook up and you guys do business. It's a just a great way to hook people up and make sure our clients are well served. You know, a case like that, nah, you're not going to make any money, but you know, if you're just making the hookup, but that's the right way to do business. So let's talk a little bit about ways we can add value without having to make ourselves a lot of extra work or expense. This is one of my favorite areas, and I want to hear your ideas. So I'll throw out a few of things we do just to kind of get the conversation started. One thing we do, of course, is the Next Home app. If you're not using the Next Home app for buyers, I'd encourage you to start using it. It really makes life easy. Another thing we do is Pat and I have a utility trailer. You know, I think everybody should have a utility trailer, in my opinion, but we just happen to have one. So we had the idea that everybody's got trash that's too big to put in the trash can when they're moving. So we say, all right, we're going to park the trash trailer in your front yard. You fill it up and we'll haul it off to the dump. And the dump here costs $14 unless you've got tons and tons of stuff. But you know, if you got a little utility trailer, I mean, we bought this utility trailer for $500. It's just a little crappy utility trailer, but it's awesome for that. And people are blown away because we're helping them with the process. We're not just focusing on selling a house. Another thing we do, and we got this idea from Nathan White. Nathan White provides 1 day's use of a 16-foot truck to move in. And when he told me that the first time, I was like, nah, you know, we're not at that level yet. And he goes, oh no, our truck is orange and white, but it says U-Haul on it. And I was like, oh. So all he does is he just sets it up with U-Haul. He pays for that day, a couple $100 at the most. And he's providing a moving truck, just like all the big boys do. So I thought that was genius. We, of course, you all know my favorite. Our branded moving boxes. And I'll put this on the Next Homey focus group or put it on the chat. Put your name and email address if you want where we buy them. But they are awesome. They're printed on demand. They're really high quality. So we have the biggest package. It's 30 large boxes and bubble wrap and a marker and tape and inserts, everything they need to get started moving, delivered to their door. We never even have to touch them. And it's $130. And people are blown away because nobody does that. Well, except a lot of other Next Homies. So I'll put a link to that in the chat after I get y'all talking. And so that's something we do. We're trying to think of the whole process. You know, what are all the pain points when you're moving? Because the more of those little inconveniences we can solve for them, then the better off we are, because we're thinking ahead. All the other lazy agents out there, they're not going to do it. And they're going, oh, $130. Like, you're making $10,000. You know, come on. So anyway.
Chuck, do you use the concierge at all?
I'll tell you
I
what.
sure do. I
don't.
love them in Maine. Oh,
Because they've
They're
been
great.
very inconsistent with us.
oh, they've been very good here.
I'm very unhappy with the Next Home concierge, so I've stopped using them and gone back to doing it myself. We're
Make sure
talking.
you let them know that.
Oh yeah,
please.
we're speaking with corporate about it, and
Yeah.
they're aware of it, and they'll get it solved. But
Yeah.
for right now, yeah. And oh, I got something else I forgot to mention on referrals. And I'm sorry, brokers that are in here, but I gotta say it. Don't refer directly to a broker unless that broker is going to personally handle that lead. Because I'll show you what happens. In fact, we just got one here from another broker here in town. Somebody referred to the broker, $750,000 listing, which is a lot here. And so broker gave it to a newbie to kind of help them out. Newbie totally dropped the ball. It didn't get listed for 3 months because they were so lame. Meanwhile, they got frustrated, fired them. We ended up with it. The market had shifted. That agent's inactivity cost them $75,000 because the market shifted. and they were livid. But it was all because they sent it straight to the brokerage, and then the broker just gave it to some lackey that didn't know what they were doing. I know this again, I know it sounds harsh, but we're friends here and we need to be straight with each other. Send it to somebody that you know is personally going to do the work. So I'll get off my soapbox on that. So what kind of things do you guys do to add value to make you stand out from all the other agents out there?
I actually referred a client to a broker directly too, and same thing, man. I was like, yeah,
It's unfortunate, but it happens.
A lot of brokers they are so busy taking care of their agents in their office. And the bigger the agency, the more that they're involved with putting out fires, answering questions, making sure trainings are done. They have got so much on their plate as it is that I can see why someone would take a new person and just say, "Here, let's get you started. It's going to work." But you're absolutely right. I think talking to someone that's, again, when you go to that main site on Nextome, scroll down to the agents, not the broker. Because more often than not, they're just, and it's like calling the office phone, leaving a message.
Well,
it just doesn't get responded to.
Yeah, it was actually at the brokers conference that it happened to. And so my client needed to move, and I was there with them, and I was like, "Hey man, can you?" "Oh yeah." And they moved and never heard from them.
So I do have an alternative, because like Pat and I don't do dual agency. I mean, we don't call it that here in Florida, but it is. And so we don't do it. So if we've got the listing and we've got the buyer, we give them to a different agent in a different office. So we know a broker here in town personally. So I called her, and she doesn't do business. She's just a broker. She doesn't work with clients. So she said, "Hey, I got a new guy in the office." I'm like, "Great, let me talk to him." So I spoke with him, vetted him, and it was cool. Everything went perfectly. But make sure you talk to the person that's going to do the work. And also, incidentally, I put the link to where we get the boxes in the chat. So grab it in there, and that's where we get them. They'll set up the artwork for you. We gave them all the Nextome stuff, so they got all that on file. And any Nextomies, they know what to do for you. So what are you guys doing to add value? We got to stand out somehow. How you doing it? Nobody's standing out. Everybody's clicking on that link, I hope.
Looking at the how much do they charge you for these?
The most expensive package is $130.
Oh, but it has everything in it.
Yeah, that one comes with 30 large boxes, some bubble wrap, tape, a marker, little inserts to go in the plates and in the cups, and
okay,
everything they need to get started moving. Because getting them started is the hardest step. And what we do, if they need more boxes, we send them another 30. We don't care, because we're another 130 out of our commission's not bad. That's not too much. And I know you guys probably feel the same way, because we put humans over houses, right?
Do you guys
Benos
also...
does staging. Yes, go ahead.
Oh no, this is Laura. I was just
Laura.
checking. Hi. Do you guys also buy closing gifts for your sellers or buyers?
Yes,
I mean,
we do.
in addition. Okay, so you do that. And I was just checking because I always am trying to come up with some really cool, unique, usually a sign.
It's so hard. I'm so glad I have Pat for that, because like she'll get a basket and get all this stuff that she knows they're going to need, or like if they're moving to the beach from out of state, it'll be a bunch of beach stuff, like a bucket and shovel and stuff. She does all that. But we try to steer clear of the like the stereotypical, stuff like cutting boards and stuff like that, because those are a lot more common. So we try to make sure if a lot of other people are doing something, we try to not do that. Lisa, you're shaking your head. Yes. What do you do with that?
It is different for almost every single person.
Yeah.
You have to be a chameleon to their needs. The last one I just did has a dog, and they kept talking about they're coming from an apartment. This was a generation loan. So that meant they had never, ever lived in a house before. They've only lived in rentals. So it was so exciting anyway for them to actually get their first home. And it was a single mom. And they said the dog was going to be in the long sunroom. And I went over to Sam's Club and I saw the coolest dog bed, which was really thick and it looked like cowhide on it. And I said, that will be perfect in that room. So I got some things for her daughter, including a looped stuffed dog. I don't overwhelm with next home memorabilia. I got to tell you, because everyone does that. And so I had that, but I had a brand new set of knives on a tray that they could reuse for other things, a wooden tray. So they had knives with sleeves, they had towels, they had mitts for the oven. They had a little bit of everything. I think I put a bottle of wine and in a bunch of caramels in there, just in case someone wanted to go ahead and have a little bit of caramel candy while they're doing it. But that was such a impact on that family that it just they told everyone about it. And I think we just need to realize who our clients are, because I had a duel on that one. And the seller, I did a bottle of wine because she loves wine, but her boyfriend, her fiance, who she was moving to his house, drinks beer. So Habitat for Humanity has a thing going in Maine where you can buy a card and you would have for $40 and you'd be able to go to 8 different beer facilities and get a free beer off that card. So I threw that in with the gift bag or gift basket for her. And she was just, she couldn't believe that I had thought about her fiance, who I had not met yet. It's just, you will know when you meet them what you should be doing at the end.
That's right.
Trust yourself.
This is awesome. You guys are giving such great ideas, because I usually will give a gift, but just order pizza for them, or maybe have like a little stuff if they have a fridge set up in the fridge. So thank you for the ideas. I love to hear it.
Something we do for big groups that we know are going to help them move in or whatnot, we'll do a charcuterie board, and the board is the gift and the charcuterie is fixed by us. We go over before the closing and wrap it up in saran wrap, put it in the refrigerator. And that has gotten us clients from that, saying, you won't believe what my realtor did for us. And they just remember stuff like that. Doesn't always have to be a bag full of stuff.
Yeah,
no, that's right. Excellent.
There was one thing that was the most powerful for us. I'm not that good at paying attention like Pat is. So what I do, my little trick is I deliberately ask, is there anything you're going to miss about your old house? And one guy said, like, I really had a nice avocado tree in the backyard. Well, the place they bought over here did not have an avocado tree, but it did by closing day. So I made sure there was a nice avocado tree in the backyard, and the man was crying. He was so happy because he felt like we really paid attention and we cared. It was awesome.
That was better than having your name or circa 2024 on a cutting board, because they will remember that personal touch. And I think everything's right. If you have a large family with a bunch of kids, do a movie night basket with certificates so that you can have pizza delivered someplace that's close enough. You can do that. Do the $1 candies, throw them in the basket. You could just be as creative as you want to be so that they have a fun night and everyone gets to be involved. I don't think there's anything wrong that someone can do, because you're putting your heart into and recognizing that it's not just you, but it is about them and their special day.
That's so true, Lisa. And one thing, if you're really hurting for ideas and you can't come up with anything, stock up the refrigerator so they'll have something to eat their first day there. Just something simple like that. Just something that shows that you're trying to help.
Toilet paper, paper towels.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, make sure they have toilet paper, stuff like that.
I get excited when we do a final walkthrough and I'll go, oh my gosh, they left you toilet paper. And we actually laugh about it, because when you are moving, sometimes you've got to use the bathroom, and some people just take everything. So
that's right.
It is fun.
Well, I'll tell you, this has been such a great focus group today. We always try and be respectful of your time and try to start and end on time. But if you guys need any help at all, I know that you can call any person on this group anytime because I know all these people, they're all
Absolutely.
super nice. And especially Pat and I. You can call us, we'll tell you anything, we'll help you out. We really, really care about you guys. And have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for coming. We meet here every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern, and hope to see you back here next time.